Hey folks, welcome back to the Toronto Marlies Insider. The Marlies hosted the Rochester Americans for Game 2 in the North Divisional Final today at the Coca-Cola Coliseum. Let's take a look. The game was mostly dominated by special teams, and when a player like Kyle Clifford says,
I don't think the refs had any factor on that outcome of that game. It was well officiated. It was a well officiated game.
you know it's going to be a crazy one, so buckle up. The first goal certainly wasn't without controversy, which seemed to be the tone for the game. A very soft tripping penalty was called on Captain Logan Shaw, and many in attendance believed that Mason Yopes received the puck in an offside position here. It's not really in shot, but trust me, he was offside. He did well to sneak in between Kyle Clifford and the falling Noel Hoffenmeyer though, and he did lay off a little gentle pass to Yuri Kulik, who beat Eric Shalgren in the Marlies net. The goal was Kulik's 5th goal in as many playoff games this year. At the end of the first period, there was a bit of pushing and shoving, but nothing major. It did see Mason Yopes receive a 2-minute for cross-checking. After some passing back and forth between Shaw, Mac Hollowell and Nick Ambrosisi then circled in and sent a shot over the shoulder of the very impressive Malcolm Subban to level things up early into the second. The American second goal was scored when Noel Hoffenmeyer was finishing up serving a penalty for cross-checking. So although it wasn't a power play goal, it was essentially 5-on-4 in the Marlies zone. The Americans did well to cycle the puck, and Jeremy Davies scored near side to beat Shalgren. Similar to a few goals from game 1 though, we're pretty sure that Shalgren would like this one back, as it was a little bit soft, and this far into the playoffs you'd expect your goalie to be making these saves. This is the point in the evening where all hell broke loose. The third goal for the Americans sparked an insane 2-minute period in which they would score 3 times. From this face-off you can clearly see Karl Dahlstrom was hit by a high stick from Lukas Rusek. Not to be the typical Toronto sports team YouTube channel that kind of harps on about the refs and the terrible calls, but we were in attendance. We were actually right in front of the play, and the ref stopped skating to check in on Dahlstrom and seemed to ask him if he was bleeding. We have to wonder, why ask if he's bleeding if you have no intention of calling the penalty? It doesn't matter if it's a 2 or 4 minute penalty, high sticking is still high sticking, and this one should have been called. Marlies head coach Greg Moore was livid on the bench and certainly gave the officials an earful. So did Dahlstrom himself. Getting back to the goal though, Rusek played a lovely 1-2 with Mason Yopes, and he then released a nice shot to extend the lead at 5:58 into the second. Here's another look at the missed call with 2 different officials in very close proximity, and you can see the official going in to check on Dahlstrom. Okay, enough with the complaining about the officials. For now anyway. With a sense of injustice still very much in the head of these Marlies players and boos ringing out around the arena, the Americans scored just over a minute later. Again, it was the speed of their transition from the Americans team that did damage. Sean Malone was able to saunter into the Marlies zone unaccompanied and tip a shot past Shalgren. So instead of the third goal being crossed off and the Marlies on the power play, the Americans now had a 4-1 lead. And that's not where the madness ended during this 2-minute period, as only 12 seconds later Joseph Ciccone extended the lead to 4 with a shot from deep. The shot was actually the first one faced by Keith Petruzzelli, having replaced Shalgren in net 12 seconds earlier. The Marlies should certainly feel hard done by here and do have valid grievances with the officials, but lapses in defence and lack of awareness in their own D-zone cannot be overlooked. Yes, the officials got the calls wrong, but everything after that is the fault of these Marlies players, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stern words when they do some video review on Monday. Following a penalty to Matt Bartowski, the Marlies power play unit went to work yet again. Max Ellis with his first pro hockey playoff goal when he slammed home the rebound from the initial shot from Topi Niemela. So despite the meltdown for a few minutes, the Marlies actually outshot the Americans 20-14 in the second period. And if it wasn't for Malcolm Subban in net, the Marlies could have been a lot closer, if not leading the hockey game. So, heading into the third period, there was still a sense that the Marlies team could pull a rabbit out of the hat and get a result. It was aided by the Americans taking a silly too many men on the ice penalty just under 5 minutes into the final period, which sent the Marlies' frightening power play unit back onto the ice once again. This time it was Pontus Holmberg who managed to convert the power play into a goal on the board. After some quick firing passing, Holmberg was able to beat Subban high on the blocker side to reduce the deficit to 2 with just under 15 minutes left in the third. Unfortunately though, that momentum never really got going, and just over 2 minutes later the Americans re-established their 3-goal lead on yet another power play in the game. This time Joe Blandisi taking a very controversial high-sticking penalty. Nick Ambrosisi spent a lot of time arguing with the officials as it appeared Blandisi's stick never hit the face of the Americans player. Anyway, Some slick passing from the Americans saw Keith Petrozelli dragged way off his goal line, which gave Mike Mersch the easiest of shots to register his 5th goal of the playoffs. The Americans would then add an empty netter with just under 4 minutes left to play. The goal really put the result well beyond any doubt. Brendan Warden with the goal, which was actually his first of the playoffs. The look and body language here of Logan Shaw really says a lot. It's the look of a man and a team who really gave everything they had but still came up a little bit short due to one reason or another. But we know the main reason. The Marlies did manage to add one more goal before the end of the game, and yes, you guessed it, on the power play. Alex Steve scored his first goal of the playoffs off the face-off win from Radim Zahorna to snipe a goal and put just a bit more of a respectable look on the final score. So the Marlies had 4 power play goals in this game. That has to be both very encouraging for head coach Greg Moore, but also a cause for very serious concern. The team has struggled to create solid goal scoring opportunities on 5-on-5 play. Never mind scoring, they're just struggling to even create solid chances. The problem stemmed from the final stretch at the end of the regular season where we went 2-8 and all the confidence seems to have got sucked out of this team. But if we look a little bit deeper, it can be traced right the way back to the start of the season. The Marlies scored 229 goals during the regular season, which places them in the bottom 3 of the division for goals scored, in a division that they actually won. They eked out a lot of one-goal games earlier in the year and got by on some outstanding goaltending. But with Joseph Wall not an option and their current goalies looking just a little bit shaky, the Marlies need a drastic upturn in offensive production, but have proven all year that they just don't have the personnel for. A look at the list of Marlies players and their points this year shows that they're missing some serious goal threats that they had at one point in the season. Bobby McMahon, who has missed a lot of games with injuries, is tied for first place with Logan Shaw for goals at only 21. Now, in fairness to Bobby, he only played 30 games, so he was on track for a 40 plus goal season. Adam Godet is ranked 3rd and only 1 goal behind him, despite being traded halfway through the season. Joey Anderson, who's also traded, was averaging about a goal every other game. So with this result in the books, the Marlies are staring down the barrel of elimination as they head to Rochester for a game on Wednesday. They trail 2-0 in the best of 5 series and now must win 3 in a row, 2 in Rochester, if they are to progress. There's slight hope that they can do it. This team did go to Utica and win 2 games in their barn, so it's not impossible, but judging by how well Malcolm Subban is playing, it's going to take a Herculean effort to avoid defeat in either of those 2 games. On a positive note, there are reports that Joseph Wall, on the back of his impressive performances with the Maple Leafs in their playoff run, might be available for the upcoming games. Having a goalie like Wall back would really strengthen up the Marlies' weak goaltending situation and give them a great springboard to chase the victories required. As previously mentioned, up next for the Marlies is a couple of elimination road games starting on Wednesday. Make sure you come back and check out our coverage of the game. After the game, here's what channel favourite Kyle Clifford and head coach Greg Moore had to say to the media.
Kyle, at what point in this game do you feel that it got away from you guys and you didn't follow the game plan that you set out to?
Looking at that game, I think what I really liked about our group is we had no quit. No matter what the score was, we brought it every shift, and I think there's some things that happened, but what I really liked about our game is just no quit. We all stuck together, we played hard, and we played for each other.
What is it about this group that has the confidence, that knows that you guys are capable of pulling off this series?
We're just a really tight group. The way we prepare, the way we get ready for games, the way we get ready for practice. We've been together all year. We faced a lot of adversity and nothing shakes us.
As a leader in this team that a lot of younger players look up to, what's the message to the guys ahead of Game 3?
We're going to leave it all in line.
What can you say about the group's effort, especially in the third there, where it looked like there was some life?
I thought there was a lot of moments in the game where we showed life. There was a lot of adversity we had to play through that game, and we're not going to go quietly here. So this is got a day off tomorrow, and we'll get ready for a big game on Wednesday.
With a lot of power play goals, why do you think it's been a little bit more difficult for you guys to get one at 5-on-5?
There's a lot of special teams that game. I don't think the refs had any factor on that outcome of that game. It was well officiated.
They need more team discipline, do you think, a little bit, especially in a playoff game, tight playoff?
It was a well-officiated game.
Greg, at what point in the game do you feel like things got away from you too much and that you weren't able to set out to have that game plan you guys wanted?
Well, the second period certainly had some interesting events. Ourselves got a little distracted in the second period. There's probably a 2-3 minute window of a couple quick goals that were a little bit more of our own defensive breakdown. And then, our group, I think, was clearly frustrated with how things were going in the second.
On the bright side, you guys did register 4 power play goals. Before the game, you told me you were hoping to see some adjustments on the power play. Were you at least happy with how things went on that end?
Yeah, obviously the power play had success tonight. Would like to have created more 5-on-5. I did think the first half of the game, and I would say even toward the tail end of the second, we got them in their defensive zone for quite some time. We had some good looks and chances. Had a hard time scoring on those chances. But if I'm evaluating our team's play compared to game one, it was so much better. I think in the long run, we keep playing like this, we give ourselves a good chance to come back in this series regardless of where it is right now.
As a group and even as staff, how hard is it to manage a game in its entirety when you're always going kind of back and forth either on the power play or on the penalty kill like it was today?
Yeah, it's always hard for just the flow of the game for players to get into it, guys who aren't necessarily on the penalty kill or on the power play or on both. I think that's one of the strengths of our team is our depth and be able to roll the 4 lines. So the special teams game today obviously was key. It was nice to get some on the power play, but we need to look at the penalty kill and make sure that we find better ways to stop their power play.
All season long, you guys have preached the one game at a time mentality, whether it was beginning of the season or even now into the postseason. But what is it about this group that has the confidence that knows that a road win for Game 3 is possible?
Oh, absolutely. Our team's shown confidence all year to come back in every scenario and situation that we've been in. That's why we have had the success that we've had is because of the character and the belief in our group, and we will definitely be going into Game 3 with that belief.
Talk about getting a lot of chances at 5-on-5. But why do you think you haven't been able to score, like put one in the net?
Well, today, it wasn't due to a lack of chances. Sometimes they just don't go in. Sometimes you go through a few game segments and everything seems to be going in. So we just got to stay with it. If we weren't getting the chances, I'd be concerned. But we're definitely creating offense. We just got to find the back of the net.
Who do you look to most with your backs to the walls? What I think you're looking for your veterans, obviously, but are you looking also to see what your younger kids can do and how they respond to the situation?
Yeah, at this point, we need everybody to be pulling in the same direction. Our veteran guys have done a great job all year. We have total belief in our young guys to be playing in important positions and in key minutes. So I think right now it's not so much about veteran and young as it is our team and the belief in ourselves, and we have that.
Might get Joe back. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we'll see. That's not up to me.
Do you have any update on SDA's condition?
Lower body day-to-day.
Thanks for watching. If you liked our coverage, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.